Today on the Tom West Show, we sit down and interview Assistant General Manager of one of the affluent Bay Area restaurants in Northern California. We get a close glimpse and a look into the COVID response, how restaurants have to respond and how they have been responding, especially with the new stay-at-home order. Stay tuned. Enjoy. So today we sit down with Restaurant General Manager from the Bay Area to talk about COVID-19 and how the stay-at-home order has affected business and everything restaurant, especially as it pertains to Northern California. So without further ado, Tia.
Hey, thanks for having me. I'm happy to be here.
Thank you for being with us today. So how's have you been safe and how's everything going as far as?
Well, it's definitely been a roller coaster the past since March.
Yeah, since March.
It pretty much started as any other outbreak that we had before. I don't think any of us really took it seriously. And then shelter in place came, and literally in 24 hours, I think over 80% of our staff was laid off.
Wow.
Yeah, go ahead.
And that was so during the first stay-at-home order, what was going on is similar to now, right? So what you have is only takeout. Is that how that works?
Yes, that's correct. So pretty much what we did at that point was only takeout and delivery. There was many guidelines just changing all over the place in the first couple of weeks. So we had to roll with all the changes that are basically happening on a daily basis.
Right. So what happens to like the cook and the chef when you have things like that? Because business is what goes down 80%, right? Almost, right?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. We had to lay off multiple staff members, most of the servers, because of course we weren't doing any indoor dining at that point. So we just stayed with the cashiers and the assistants who were packing the orders, and of course the kitchen staff. But that was only cooks and kitchen managers. There was no preps or dishwashers at that point. It was pretty much all of us just kind of jumping in and covering all those stations in the restaurant, front of the house and back of the house included.
Right. So I can imagine that actually makes your job more stressful, right? Because that makes you have to fill in a lot of positions.
Well, yeah, in a way. I mean, the way we are set up, the way our company works, us managers, we're not only walking around the floor and sitting in the office all day. We're always involved and running the show. So we're helping out on all those positions anyway. But yeah, definitely once we had to cut most of the staff, we had to jump in even more. And at the same time, you had to keep an eye on all these guidelines and make sure everything is done according to Santa Clara County orders.
Right. Definitely. So as my experience is, me coming to California, living here, just in general, eating out is something I do daily because I don't cook much, right? So I like to go sit down, eat restaurant, right? But I actually like to go inside and eat. I don't like to take out, take home. So when I don't have that experience, usually I will not order takeout. So I won't order takeout because of the fact that it doesn't usually taste the same. I have to heat it up, all of that, right? And I just can't enjoy it the same way as if I went to the restaurant. So
absolutely, there's ambience in that too, so it plays a big role.
Right, definitely. So the question is beyond that. I wanted to ask because I've seen a few things that restaurants were doing. Your restaurant in particular, have you guys thought of anything, any package that you would kind of roll out? Maybe something half cooked or something that you can actually get to the people that would frequent your restaurants, or just people in general that would kind of give them that same experience?
Well, we didn't have that kind of option because basically we're a restaurant that is made to order. So most of our food would always arrive fresh and warm anyway.
Right.
But we did come up with some promos and different ways of, just doing like a family thing, bigger orders are suitable for more like 2 to 4 people or 6 to 10, depending on situation. We didn't have that before. They only started with the shelter in place, and interestingly, it was quite popular.
Oh, so
and
it
it's
was
still popular to this day. Yeah.
Nice. And that was on the delivery side, right?
That's the delivery and takeout side. We are
Okay.
connected with a lot of third-party companies. So
Mm-hmm.
those third-party companies also had their own promos and the way of, just getting our customers to order
Mm-hmm.
either takeout or delivery. Our online system as well was working just fine. You see, like for example, you said you don't really like ordering to go. You're more about the ambience of spending time in the restaurant and having your food warm on a plate. But the thing is, a lot of people here have that culture of eating from restaurants anyway, regardless of them dining in or
Right.
ordering to go.
Mm-hmm.
So our to go was, or in our takeout and our delivery were working pretty much just the same after the pandemic started, and maybe even better, because in the first month it was kind of quiet, but I think people just kind of missed the restaurant food. So our dining and takeout took off from that point quite a lot.
Right. So in the beginning, I can see people are scared. Nobody knows what's going on, right? Everybody's in the hospital. If
Yeah.
you get sick, is it airborne? Can I
Mm-hmm.
touch a gas pump? Right. All that
Mm-hmm.
crazy stuff's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's definitely, I understand that part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I think of that, so when we talk about the restaurant and the pandemic and that time when it was going on, now the shelter in place,
Mm-hmm.
it went on for a while, and then they actually started to let you guys have outside space. I don't know, was that June or was that July when that?
I think it was June. I'm not 100% sure. I think it was either late June or beginning of July, but we had it for like a couple of months. We were open until pretty much just recently for the outdoor dining.
Right, right. So during the outdoor dining, can you speak
Mm-hmm.
to just some of the challenges as it came to having your restaurant set up for outdoor dining? Is still, what is that? Probably 25% capacity, right? Because you can't have anybody indoors. Or maybe,
Yeah.
maybe not.
No, well, outdoor dining was basically set up as long as you can keep people 6 feet apart and tables 6 feet apart from each other, you're just fine. And good thing that happened all over the Bay Area pretty much is most of the restaurants were talking to the city, and cities helped them with expanding their patios.
Okay.
So you can see like I don't know, maybe San Jose, Sunnyvale, Mountain View, all of them kind of closed their streets and expanded the patios so we can have more guests coming in.
Right. So they let
But
them expand it out to the street pretty much, right?
yes,
Okay.
yes, while still being able to maintain the 6 feet apart between tables and keeping our guests safe, which is pretty much the main priority right now.
Right. And with that, because I
Hmm.
know when I go out to eat, especially now during the pandemic, I'm like staying. So I'm
Hmm.
eating and I stay there as long as I can. So is that like a issue? Is that a problem ever? That people just eat, wouldn't leave, past the time it's due, or they just eat and just sit around way after the meal's over just because it's something to do now, right? It's a thing. I go out, I eat, and I'm just going to chill here because I have nothing else to do.
Well, it depends from a restaurant to a restaurant. There were restaurants in the area, especially for example, in Santana Row in San Jose. They had a set up dining in a way that you had maybe an hour and a half or two
Okay.
once you make your reservation, and you had to leave after like 2 hours. Our restaurant was pretty much set up like it was before. You come in, you eat, and we're not rushing you. You can stay as much as you want. The truth is, restaurant business does make money from fast turnover,
Mm-hmm.
but then again, we take a lot of pleasure of making sure our guests are enjoying themselves in those couple of hours they're spending time with us. So we never had any set timer on how long they're gonna spend dining with us.
Right. I get that.
Mhm.
Has this taken a toll on you financially? You being an assistant general manager, has it ever come a time where there's, I don't know, were you furloughed? Was it somebody spoke to you about maybe a part-time thing, or did you not miss a beat?
I gotta say, I've been blessed in that area. My finances and haven't changed even a bit
That's great.
during all this time. Yeah, but my hours were cut a little bit shorter, but there are still days when I work 10 to 12 hour shifts a day.
Right. Because you were
Hmm.
saying that some of the other staff, right, which would be dishwashers, bus tables, and waitresses. So I guess they were furloughed, right? They were pretty much
Yes,
unemployed
yes.
until you guys needed them to come back, right?
Yes, well, even when the outdoor dining opened, we didn't brought bussers back or food runners. We just brought servers back, and servers were pretty much doing both with our help, of course.
Right, right. Well,
Yeah.
it's good that you were able to bring some people back. Even
Oh,
going into what we're
absolutely.
going into now, it's just unprecedented that we're shutting back down again. I mean, I understand the cases are going up, and I don't even understand the numbers when they go into hospitals fall under 15%. They say that's why
Hmm.
they're shutting
Hmm.
down. So
Yes.
15%, when you look at that number, I want to know what was the capacity before that, right? Were we at
Hmm.
50%? You kind of just need these extra numbers, right, to know kind of what's
Hmm.
going on.
Hmm.
Um, with that being said, looking at the restaurant industry, just moving forward, um, I think of this pandemic. They said, first the president said we would be out in 2 weeks, we'd be out by Easter, right? And that didn't
Hmm.
happen. And then it prolonged. And now we open back up slightly to largely depending on what state you're in. I mean, if you're in Florida, COVID doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
you just you just open up, you just do whatever you want to. So when you speak of that, I look at the industry as maybe fleeting, or maybe it's like, is the industry fading? Because when you look at the future, if this is going to be a norm where most people are home now, most people are ordering things, do you ever get concerned about like the job creation? Do you think that this is going to shift? And when I say shift, do you think that maybe skeleton crews, maybe all I need is a cook, the cook will cook. I need one person here, and everything else is just going to be transported to somebody's house or wherever, somebody's community. Maybe we don't come out of this for another year or two. Have you ever thought about that? And have you ever thought about maybe, I know it's a lot of questions.
I mean, that's a really good question, actually. I think we're gonna see a lot of big changes after COVID in restaurant industry. Some things are gonna stay the same probably, but will we go down to less staff in the future? It's a possibility, but I really doubt it. I think people are just gonna go back to the dining like it never stopped pretty much. But the problem is right now
How do you
is
survive,
all
right?
those,
I'm sorry about that. Like, how
yeah,
do you
all
come out
these,
of that?
yeah, no. Well, the thing is, a lot of businesses lost money last 8 months, regardless of you having takeout or
Mm-hmm.
deliveries. You're probably still operating with a 50, maybe even 60% of less business than you had before.
Mm-hmm.
People just have a culture of dining out, eating out. And that's if you're working with the third party companies, then you're paying them to deliver your food. So you're still at losses at all times. And you have the staff you need to pay. So you have to keep an eye on your labor pretty much from the moment you open the restaurant to the closing time. So yeah, I see the future of restaurant industry changing in a way. But once it starts getting more busy and the money starts coming in, they're going to start bringing all the staff back as it was before, with the bussers and the preps and the dishwasher and the janitors and the whole crew. The only thing is, what's going to change is probably the way the sanitation, the safety procedures, and how we're approaching um, handling food, and in general just the safety of the guests and customers. Because when you think about it, a year and a half ago, I would pre-bus the table with my bare hands,
Right.
and that's not happening anymore. We all wearing gloves, we have masks, and everybody's pretty much trained on how to keep an eye on these things from now on. Everybody knows how to handle. I mean, everything, all of that was trained before. We all trained in food and safety procedures, but now with COVID, it kind of bumped it up even more. So I think that's one part is going to change a lot.
Yeah, most definitely will change a lot. And I think there's going to be a lot of people a lot of restaurants that won't make it, right? That won't survive.
Oh, yeah, unfortunately, we already saw that happening. I mean, I witnessed myself a lot of restaurants closing their doors when shelter in place started and they never opened up. But on the good side, I also saw restaurants opening their doors and thriving in these times, which is a little bit maybe unusual, but it's still possible.
Right. Definitely. It definitely is still possible. And another thing I wanted to say now, with everything that's going on right now, pandemic, we're going through the holidays. Has it been an uptick in you guys giving back? Do you guys was with the holidays going on and the pandemic is raising and everything is getting shut down again? Do you guys have the opportunity, or have you been like an outreach to the community? Have you guys been donating, I don't know, food, or how does that usually work around some of these restaurants and, when it pertains to the Bay Area and just it being holiday season? Is that a thing or?
Oh yeah, it's definitely a thing. So throughout the whole year, pretty much ever since pandemic started, we were supporting the hospitals in the area,
Okay.
uh, pretty much setting up lunches for them. And we also supported our staff that was laid off during COVID. We had family meals set up for them. They could pick up weekly.
That's great. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, so we've done that once a week for probably 3 or 4 months. And also supported hospitals and schools in the area. So yeah, we've been pretty much donating even before COVID. It just kind of went from there now, so we're doing it even more.
Yeah, that's great. That's it's always good to see restaurants that do things like that and give it back, especially when you guys are in a crunch, right? In a bind already.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Mm-hmm.
always good to see that.
Absolutely.
Did you guys have any direction from the county, and was it good, or just about how to go back, or how to get back running, or was it an issue? Did you have any problems with them?
Well, there wasn't any problems. It's just in the beginning there was a lot of changes until they kind of figure out how it's going to work. So on daily basis we would get new guidelines, and we had to change things around, or we were supposed to get this amount of tables, but then they changed it to this amount of tables, or this many people can dine in at the same time, sit at the same table. But no, now we're going, instead of 10 people, now it can only be 6. So,
Hmm.
changes like that. But we also had to be trained on the COVID safety guidelines. Every single staff member on the restaurant had to pass that test in order for them to stay employed. It was a very
Hmm.
strict policy of the Santa Clara County, and just in general, they would go around, make sure the restaurants are doing everything up to standards, that the guidelines are being respected, the health department and everybody else. So yeah, I mean, I think they're pretty serious about it. To this day, they still can check up on you, make sure everything is running good, and we have all the paperwork going.
That's good.
So yeah.
So you
Hmm.
do have, yeah, you have all of that in place, and it's good
Yes,
that
we
the
do.
county had some type of direction, because you always hear these things about sometimes you do, and sometimes they don't, and by the time it gets back to normal, it's
Hmm.
almost like, I had help in the direction, I just couldn't get functioning back to the way I needed to.
Well, yeah, absolutely. We gain momentum pretty fast, and now with the second shelter in place, it's a little bit different because now we know what we have to do.
Right.
So there's nothing new for us. It's pretty much just going back to the March, what we did in March.
Right. Have you guys been affected at all with the protests? Has the protest affected you guys when it was
No,
going on?
not even a little bit. Not even a little bit. The area where we're located wasn't, there was no protests there, so it was just business as usual for us. But some of our other restaurants had to close. One restaurant in particular had to close for a
Right.
couple of days, yeah.
Okay.
But other than that, we didn't have any damages or anything like that.
Oh, no damages then. That's
No,
great.
none of that.
That's great. That have you guys had any, if you might, as a whole nother, I'm not going to say it's a racket, we do need to be sanitary and things like that, especially
Mm-hmm.
when you have an
Mm-hmm.
infection, but I know certain companies out there that it's almost $10,000 to come in and clean, per
Oh yeah, I'm pretty
case.
sure.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's pricey. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is, but it's for safety of our employees, and it's also for the safety of our guests.
Yes, yeah,
So yeah.
definitely. And I wonder if
So yeah, yeah. You
and
can't put price on that.
no, you can't. And
Hmm.
the county or the state doesn't have any direct financial help with that, right? That's usually just a burden of the
Well,
company restaurant, right?
I'm not sure how it works for small businesses in that area. I wish I could give you a better answer
Hmm.
on that, but it's something that our corporate management takes care of. So, but from what I read from the news, there were small businesses who got supported from
Okay.
government. I'm just not sure if we are one of them.
Okay. Right. So going into this next question, just wanted to know. So going through that whole thing of the COVID, I mean, it's been tiresome, right? It's been 8, 9 months of that, almost
Mm-hmm.
just about, or more. What have, I guess, you been in your position learned from that you're going to take into the next one, which I think goes into effect tonight, right, at 10 p.m. the stay-at-home order? Is there any
Yeah.
takeaways, that anything you think you can do different that you can share with us, or maybe share with the people out there that's kind of in the same position?
Well, I think I'm still under the effect and the feelings of everything going on because there were still some staff members that I had to delete off the schedule just
Mm,
2 days ago,
right.
which was really heartbreaking for me. And I had to talk to them, and because they did say that everything should go back to normal January 4th, but they said the same thing in March, and then all of
Yes.
a sudden
Hmm.
it's been 3 months in, and we're still dealing with that, and winter is coming. And even if they open the outdoor dining, nobody's going to sit outside in January. Even in February, those are pretty much our coldest months. So I'm not really expecting people to just run to sit on patios.
Rainy months too.
Yeah, and that as well. So business wise, I mean, it just taught us how to roll with the punches. Our job pretty much is never the same every day. We have to deal with different situations and different people on daily basis. But I think pandemic changed all of us, even outside of business. But business wise, I mean, now we know what we're dealing with. It's just going back to bare bones, less people at work, more to go in deliveries. But it's hard because I don't think a lot of businesses are going to survive the winter. That's my biggest fear.
Yes, it's going to be tough. It's hard. I mean, if
Mhm.
a lot of businesses that did survive, I think, through this time, especially restaurants, how do you take another hit like that again? And you're about to take
Yeah,
another. They're saying what, 30 days, but I think it's going to be at least another 60, 90
I'm
days.
I'm I'm pretty sure it might go all the way to March, but that's just my opinion. I don't know. I could be wrong. I hope I'm wrong.
Yeah, hope so that we're wrong, right? I hope I'm wrong
Yeah,
about it
right.
bleeding
Mhm.
into next year. Just bleeding into late next year. I think sometimes when I think of the
Yeah,
vaccine, just getting that
yeah.
herd immunity. So
It's definitely gonna take some time. Yeah.
definitely, I think it will take a lot of time. So just a
Hmm.
question I like to ask going into the end
Hmm.
of this segment, as it goes towards the vaccine, how do you feel about actually taking the vaccine? Are you okay with that? Do you feel like that will help us as a community?
I gave a lot of thought to that, to be honest. And I don't know, I'm standing on both sides right now.
Hmm.
There's a part of me that kind of doesn't want to get any vaccine until the first round does it,
Hmm.
just to see how it what kind of effect it's gonna have. On the other hand, I think even if I say no to it, I don't think I really have a choice. I'm probably gonna want to travel, and they're gonna tell me I have to get a vaccine, or I'm gonna have to get a vaccine because of the work.
Hmm.
So I'm not really sure we're gonna have a say in that one,
Yes.
to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I think that too. Often, you look at the numbers and they say, if we get
Mhm.
70% of the population vaccinated, then it's kind of like herd immunity. But
Mhm.
there is the fact that what's in this thing, right? And
Mhm.
is it just like
Yes.
another flu shot, or what's going on? What is
Yeah,
it? You know? Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Because I know a lot of people who got a flu shot and they still got a flu, and I have a little bit of suspicion. I know this is all the way off the topic, but I'm kind of suspicious. I think I actually had it back in January, even before everybody knew about it, because I had a flu that lasted like a week, and I lost the sense of taste and smell.
Right. Oh, did you? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Well, you
I
probably,
did.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, then you probably had it because we all think we had it too, right? Early, right?
Yeah, and there was like five or six of us around me that was in close contact during that time that all got sick.
Yeah.
And
Hmm.
yeah, and I lost a sense of taste and smell for like 2 weeks. And I mean, then nobody know about the COVID, but later on when it happened and everybody started talking, loss of taste and smell, and I was like, whoa, okay, hold on. And then the story is how it probably started in 2019 already. They just didn't know yet. So I don't, I can, I can't say with 100%, but there is a chance.
Yeah, there's a good chance, you lose your
Hmm.
taste and smell.
Hmm.
In other articles, I did see an article that was saying that the blood transfusion, so they're going
Hmm.
back California and they're testing these vials of blood that they're taking for people to give other individuals transfusion that need
Hmm.
blood.
Hmm.
And they're testing these vials for COVID-19. And they, out of like 10,000, it was something like 700 to 800 that were positive for COVID-19. This is November,
Hmm.
this is before we knew,
This was way before,
way
yeah.
before the, HWO said anything. It was just WHO, I mean, before they said anything,
Yeah.
and CDC, before we had anything like that going on. So
Hmm.
I
It's
just,
kind of already happening, yeah.
yeah, it was kind of already happening. So, you just think of a vaccine and you just think of, this is a lot of question marks. But hey, I think as a people at large, we're persistent and we're trying to get through it as a whole. We're going to shut down and lock down. I would say everybody should participate in supporting their local businesses, especially restaurants. Like me myself, right? Just not wanting to have that delivery, but frequent these
Oh,
restaurants.
absolutely. Absolutely. Not only restaurants, any small businesses in the area. Now we see Amazon and Whole Foods that belongs to Amazon, and all those big stores are really making a lot of money
Mm-hmm.
during these times, while we have small businesses. You have a lot of little grocery stores that we could support, a lot of even gyms. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, right now I was a part of a very small yoga group that it's pretty much a family owned business. And everybody's running to those big corporations at the moment. And unfortunately, all the big money from the government goes to those big corporations instead of, kind of try to support your community and people around you.
Yes, definitely. That's true. That's definitely true. And with that, Tia, we want to thank you for sitting down with us here at the Time West Show. Thank you for taking your time out to talk with us and giving the listeners the experience of just to know what goes on. And if you never heard this before, you kind of get a glimpse of how the business was working and should work going forward. So just want to thank you for that.
Mhm. It was a pleasure to talk to you today. Thank you.
All right, Tia. Have a good one.
All right.
This interview took place today, December 6th, as we go on lockdown at 10 p.m. The stay-at-home order means that if you're not essential personnel, you shouldn't be out. Now, when it comes to restaurants, only thing they can do is takeout and delivery. As you heard in this interview, it's hard times and it's hurting the community. So this is something we'll do periodically, and then we'll check back in with Tia as the shutdown comes to a close